How y'all doing today? I'm here with Jake and Austin with MyNet at the city of Martinsville. They run an ISP right out of the city and serving a lot of customers. How many customers y'all think y'all got?
Probably about 400.
400?
Business and residential.
Okay, business and residential fiber to the home. They've been doing fiber to the home for a couple of years. Actually done, this is probably like the third training session that we've done with them, and introduced them to the UCL Swift machine a few months ago. So they've actually got one of the UCL all-in-one KF4A HDC machines. The good thing about this machine is it'll actually do the hardened connectors that are required for the flat drop installations that they work on. And so what we're going to do is just kind of roll through putting on one of these connectors, have a little conversation about, you know, how they use them and why. And Jake's going to go through and just kind of piece by piece, I may ask him things about what he's got going on with each little piece as we do this. So go ahead and let's get started putting this connector on. How many times do you do this in the week?
More than I can count.
More than
I can count.
Right.
It's basically repetition by now. I can do it in my sleep. So
yeah.
First, you want to put in all your grommets, your heat shrink, and then your little rubber piece right here goes on. Untwist this little cap right here and slide it on.
All right.
When you pull this apart, it's got this little holder.
Yeah.
That separates, and then this slides on.
So there's a lot more pieces in this connector than in the normal splice-on connector.
Oh yeah, this is the hardest part is just remembering to put everything on.
Yeah.
Definitely is that. Oh, I've already got that off, and then this piece right here, it's a crimp tool. You slide that on as well.
All right.
And then you can set all this stuff to the side until you're ready to mess with it.
Okay.
And then this is the pack it comes in. You're gonna make a mark at your 10 millimeter and 6 millimeters.
I like that the packaging has that on there. That's
It
pretty
helps
neat.
out a lot, especially after we had our training class in it.
And the type of connector this is called a CR connector, and it's made by UCL also. They make the connectors that go on these drops. So if you're looking for a kind of an all-in-one solution, I think they've got it set up.
So you'll make you a mark at your 10 and your 6, and then you will strip it back.
So what he's using there is a Jonard T-handle stripper there for the flat drop. It has two small blades in it. And what was that distance?
10 millimeter and 6 millimeters.
Okay. What it does is creates two slits right down the end of the fiber most of the time. Sometimes these blades get wore out a little bit and you may have to run it twice, but most of the time it'll open it up like it's supposed to. So have y'all been, what was y'all doing before these connectors, Austin?
Most of it was just straight splice.
So you would splice the drop straight to the cable?
Yeah.
In the enclosure?
Yeah.
Okay.
That or we just have a whole bunch of preterms that were already pre-made, and we just have 20, 30, 100 foot of slack just up there at the pole.
Okay. So what made you want to go to these connectors that you would put on?
A lot of it's a little bit quicker, a little neater. And say a cable gets messed up, tree falls, breaks a cable, anything like that, or just have way too much at the splitter. You can cut what you don't need off. Put your, in fact, these new ends on. Yeah, you can put your new ends on.
Sounds like it makes it like a really cleaner install.
Yeah.
For what you're doing.
Definitely does.
Because I mean, if you got to find a place to put 100 foot of slack, it's either got to go in a handhole or on a pole.
Yeah.
And that's going to get really, really ugly, especially if you're trying to feed a lot of customers.
We really can.
It gets really messy.
All right, what you got going on?
All right, so once you get your cable stripped back, you want to leave a little bit of wings, is what they call it right here. And then you're going to have this special piece right here.
Just a magnetic holder.
Yeah, this is going to hold your tube and your sleeve and everything to what you need. So then, right here where your fiberglass end is where you want to expose your fiber at.
All right, so he's basically cutting off the tube.
And you're going to expose your fiber right there. And then in this thing, you got a groove that your sleeve will fall in, and also it's got a groove to where your fiberglass and tube will lay in just like that. And then you have a real itty bitty sleeve that comes in the pack. You want to slide that in.
Yeah, that's your heat shrink, your splice sleeve. That's fairly tiny. I'd imagine that's probably less than a 40.
Yeah,
That's
very easy to lose. Very easy to lose. And then that just sits in the groove, and you close, and that holds it all in place. You're good on that. And then you want to come over here and the machine will strip it and cleave it for you. You put it in the stripper right here. Nice, good, clean strip.
So before y'all got this machine, your other splicer, was it more of a manual where you had to do your own cleaving and stuff like that?
You strip it back. You had to measure it to cleave it and everything at the right measurements and everything. And the good thing about this is you get rid of all of that.
Yeah.
Everything's the same length. You don't have to have one that's 12 millimeters. This one's 15 and all that.
It just does it for you.
Just does it for you. And then right here,
let's talk about this tool right here. What you got? This little holder right here. I don't know if y'all can probably see that. It's a special holder.
this comes in the accessory kit with the machine, and this is made literally to just hold your flat drop steel. Because if you don't have this, it's going to bend and all that with all that slack you got down the road. So this is going to hold it still and keep it in place so you can splice nice and good.
All right.
And for this is for your connector in right here. You got a red dot, if you can see it right there. That's always going to look at you. It's always going to face you, that red dot is. So you'll get this in here. Get it to close. Red dot facing you. And then again, let the machine do all the work.
Has this machine made y'all a little more efficient?
More, I think it made us cleaner than anything.
Yeah.
Much more cleaner, especially on the poles.
I tell you one thing, for guys like me who's been there a while, my eyes are not quite as good as y'all's. This machine sure helps because I don't have to struggle trying to look at my cleave marks and lining stuff up.
Well, that's another thing I also like about this is because you got these little two holes right here that you just lay them in the hole, and it's automatically lined up. You ain't got to worry about trying to figure it out or bumping the ends against anything. Then once you get it in there, it's all done. You let the machine do the splicing. It's going to let you know that your cuts are good. Then you're going to hit play to splice. 0.01 dB loss on that splice.
All right, let's talk a little while you're finishing that next step. Tell me about some of the prep work you got to do with the machine as you go different places with this machine.
So through trial and error, we have came to notice that when you come out of, say we're in a building right now and we go outside and try to splice out in the elements and weather, that sometimes you have to calibrate it. And if you don't calibrate it, it will not splice.
Okay.
It will just take and give you an error. It will push you out. But once you calibrate it, it's like basically a brand new machine right there. It works great.
So calibration is the key, especially in areas where humidity is different.
100%.
Yeah.
And then you get that down right there. And once that red light turns off, it means your heat shrink is done heat shrinking. It takes just a little while.
So what primary job duties of what y'all do every day? Are y'all just installers? Y'all do like mainline splicing too?
We pull it on the poles, we bury it, we splice it, troubleshoot, you name it. We do it all.
Okay.
So kind of a little bit of a good mix.
What they call it, the jack of all trades.
Yeah, I use the term universal soldiers. I don't know if y'all remember that movie.
Yeah.
That's kind of the term I use for people who are kind of the jack of all trades.
And now once you get your heat shrink splice and everything, that's where you're going to come and get this piece again. And white dot always looks at you, and it's gonna match up to your red dot. And then there's a little track right here. That's how you're gonna get your fiber to lay in there. So you're gonna slide this up, nice and good. Get this in there nice and gentle.
Yeah, it looks like to be like a couple little grooves. You got to slide that fiber in.
Yeah.
Get it to go on there.
And then again, like I said, white dot looks at you just like the red dot looks at you. And it takes a little bit of force right here to click it in. Once it's clicked in, that's when you bring your crimp tool.
That crimp ring's going to slide right up over where you split it at.
Yeah, and that what them wings that I said,
Yeah.
it's gonna keep them wings pinched back down on the cable and make the cable basically solid again. So I'll get that up in here, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I think this is probably the hardest part, just because it's a little bit more tedious.
Yeah.
You got a really chance of breaking the fiber a little bit more. But once you get that heat shrink, well, the crimp ring right there, you're gonna get your crimp tool.
Did the kit come with the crimp tool?
It does, the accessory kit. Now, the
Okay.
machine doesn't come with
Yeah.
any of the accessory kits. You'll have to get it separately. And I like to do it twice just to make sure it's on there. Because if it's loose, it is not going to work. And then again, you got a white dot here and a white dot here on these two. And you're gonna match those two together. And it should just slide right on up in. Now, just to protect your end right here, you're gonna pull that off.
Yeah, that's kind of I guess a protective dust cap kind of.
Yep. And then white dot to white dot again. And it's just gonna slide in there, and then you can twist.
Now this connector will fit in any style manufacturer CR connector, right? It's pretty universal.
It's very
So
universal.
if you have an AFL splitter or terminal or a Corning, it'll slide right in.
Yeah. So we use Corning right now, and we haven't had a problem out of it at all.
Okay.
And then with the accessory kit comes another heat shrink tool. So you're gonna protect this cable. You can still see the split a little bit right here. You're gonna push this other heat shrink up over it and lay it in this machine. Turn it on. Now this one takes a little bit longer.
Yeah, because I mean that heat shrink you're talking about, it's a little thicker than like a splice sleeve.
Yeah, it's kind of like a water heat shrink, or to heat shrink your cables together to protect them from water or something. And then after that gets done, you're gonna want to let it sit until it cools down, because it's gonna be really hot. And then that first piece of plastic that you put on is gonna push over it, and that's just gonna make it look like a cable that's been straight out the factory.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is pretty simple, pretty easy. It's really time consuming, but
I mean, it's not that bad if you're putting out a custom product though. So we just got through doing a lab in class where we built out from the OLT all the way to the ONT. We went through a splitter, we went through a terminal, we used a pre-made drop. Through that whole segment, we may have lost 1.5 dBs, minus the splitter loss all the way through from end to end. So it's definitely a good product. I'm super impressed with it.
it works fantastic. And then when you go to look at it on the poles, you go from having, like Austin said, 20, 30, 100 foot of slack coiled up to not seeing the slack at all. It's just a straight cable.
Yeah. To me, that makes it. You can ride through some of these towns and you'll see the fiber's gotten really popular, fiber to the home, but you can really tell all the companies that are all using all pre-made. I mean, and there's nothing against that, but it does get very, very busy in a pole or in a handhole when you tend to use those. So.
And it separates different companies.
It does.
Because you got the companies that do what we're doing and try to make it look good on the poles versus companies that just trying to get customers hooked up.
Just get it there.
Yeah.
And I think if you go for this route, your quality is going to be better as well.
Yeah, I like that. And I mean, what do y'all think when y'all got this machine? With UCL, did they come on site? What did they show y'all?
Yeah, so Swift contacted us and we got a training class for it. They came in, they showed us how to program it. and you can preset programs, so you don't have to keep changing it, going through all the books and trying to find your size of your tubing, size of your fibers. It's already preset. You just go in, click the button, boom, you're ready to start splicing.
Yeah.
30 seconds to program it for whatever fiber you're messing with, and you're good to go.
Yeah. That was cool. That was good. What we got over there? We got a green light.
Yeah, we got this thing heat shrunk nice and good, and you can see how it's formed around the cable.
Yeah.
And it's hot.
It's there. Yeah.
It's hot.
It's yeah. Hey, you can smell that plastic a little bit when you take it out of there.
Oh yeah.
And we're gonna let that thing cool down for a little while, because you're gonna push this in over, and if you push it while it's too hot, it'll just bubble up
Yeah.
and stop it from pushing up all the way.
Well, cool.
Because you want that warm to the touch, right?
Yeah, you don't want it burning your hand when you grab it, but you want it to be at least a little warm.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you guys going through it with us. I feel like somebody out there needs to see this. It's definitely an option for fiber to the home installs, and if it's putting out a better product, I'm all for it. So.
I think it is a better product than having all the slack on the poles, having the pre-terminated ends and everything.
Yeah.
That and then the machine, it's nice that everything is right there for you. Makes everything a whole lot quicker, a whole lot easier, rather than having to sit there and manually measure everything out and hope that you get the cleave in the right spot in the strip, and making sure you got it stripped back to the right length. Like he said earlier, everything lines up perfect and just kind of falls in place. So
Cool. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate it, and wish y'all the best of luck.
Yes, sir. Thank